A thin veil of frost clings to the tarmac at RAF Polebrook as the pale winter sun struggles to break through the clouds. The year is 1945. The airfield humming with the muffled roar of idling engines and the sharp, metallic clang of tools on metal. Men in heavy sheepskin jackets move briskly in the chill, breath turning to vapor as they load belts of .50 caliber ammunition into the waist guns of the flying fortresses, lined up like steel giants awaiting their summons. In the middle of it all, Captain Clarence Clare E. Smith tightens the strap of his flight helmet, eyes narrowing against the cold as he scans his crew boarding B-17G 10 horsepower. He turns to his co-pilot, Second Lieutenant William Bill McGee, who gives a lopsided grin. "Clear skies over Germany," they say. "I'll believe it when I see it." Claire's reply is dry, almost amused. "Let's hope Jerry believes it too." The orders are for a bombing run deep into enemy territory. The war is entering its final convulsions, but the Luftwaffe still has fangs, and flak batteries remain deadly. Claire knows every mission could be the one that doesn't end with a warm mess hall meal. The B-17s begin their takeoff roll, lumbering forward with the deep, rhythmic pulse of 4 Wright Cyclone engines. Through the Perspex nose cone, the frosted English countryside recedes, replaced by the cold gray sprawl of the North Sea. Inside, the crew settles into their stations, navigator checking charts, engineer monitoring the dials, waist gunners exchanging quiet jokes to blunt the edge of anxiety. The intercom crackles with periodic updates, the voices clipped and professional. Hours into the flight, the sky over Germany turns darker. Not from clouds, but from the dirty smudges of flak bursts blooming ahead. The formation tightens instinctively. Every man watches for the sudden flicker of sunlight on enemy fighters. Claire keeps his voice calm. "Steady, steady." The first impacts shudder through the airframe, a metallic ringing, followed by a jolt as black smoke erupts from a B-17 off their port side. "Hang on, Jesus, they're hit bad," Bill shouts, leaning forward in his seat. The crippled fortress loses altitude, trailing a thin ribbon of oil, but remains stubbornly in formation for a moment before peeling away. They press on toward the target, bomb bay doors opening with a hydraulic groan. Bombs tumble into the void, disappearing into the industrial sprawl below before blossoms of fire and smoke erupt in the distance. It's on the turn home that fate steps in. From above and behind, a pair of Focke-Wulf 190s dive into the formation. Tracers tear through the sky like incandescent beads on invisible strings. Claire hears the scream of rounds chewing through metal, a deafening clang as something slams into their wing root. "We've got a fuel leak, number 3's hit," the engineer calls over the intercom. Then, out of the corner of his eye, Claire sees another fortress drifting toward them. B-17G All-American, pilot LT, Charlie Bailey at the controls. The sky is chaos. Aircraft weaving to avoid both enemy fire and one another. But in the split-second swirl of combat, the two bombers are suddenly on a collision course. Claire yanks the control column, Bill shouts a warning, but Flak shoves the 10 horsepower, just enough off balance. There's a gut-wrenching crunch of aluminum, a high-pitched shriek of tearing metal, and suddenly the world is a shuddering maelstrom. The All-American has slammed into them from above, her tail section tangled like a monstrous fishing hook into their fuselage. Inside both aircraft, chaos reigns, men thrown against bulkheads, instruments spinning wildly. Over the intercom, someone gasps, we're stuck together." For a moment, everyone expects both fortresses to peel apart in a terminal spin. But somehow, impossibly, they remain locked, flying as one grotesque machine. Outside, the animation would show it clearly, the nose of the upper B-17 jammed over the wing root of the lower, the two sets of propellers still turning, air rushing over shattered control surfaces. In Claire's cockpit, the controls are sluggish, each movement hampered by the wounded twin clinging to their back. "Charlie, can you hear me?" Claire shouts into the radio, praying the other pilot's set is still functional. After a tense moment, Charlie's strained voice crackles through, "Yeah, we're alive up here. Tail's gone, half our controls are shot." The cold facts hit them both. The only chance of survival is to try to bring the hybrid down in one piece. They nurse their conjoined craft back toward Allied lines, engines straining unevenly. The engineer calls out fuel status, his voice tight. "We're leaking bad." We've got maybe 30 minutes if we're lucky. In the waist section, the gunners can see into the other plane's fuselage through the twisted wreckage, faces pale beneath oxygen masks, eyes wide with disbelief. Between them, hand signals and shouted words through open gaps carry the kind of urgent trust only forged in combat. "Hold her steady, Claire. Just keep her steady," Bill urges. Below, the patchwork fields of Belgium slowly replace the charred earth of Germany. Flak fire thins, replaced by the cold rush of winter wind over torn metal. At one point, the ungainly pair is buzzed by a P-51 Mustang, the fighter pilot's incredulous voice crackling over the radio. "You boys know you're carrying a passenger?" Claire manages a grim chuckle. "Yeah, we noticed." The final stretch feels endless. Every vibration threatens to shake the two bombers apart. Landing is uncharted territory. No manual covers how to put a WWII B-17 on the ground. Claire and Charlie coordinate desperately, counting down throttle adjustments. "On my mark, reduce power to port engines." Now, the runway at a forward Allied airstrip looms ahead, a strip of salvation. The ground crews on standby gape upward as the ungainly shape drops from the winter sky, sunlight glinting off ragged edges. Touchdown is bone-jarring rubber shrieking against tarmac. The airframes shudder, brakes scream, and for a terrifying moment it seems they will veer off into the snow, but momentum dies at last. Silence. Then the canopies and hatches open, crew from both planes spilling onto the icy ground. Some embrace, others simply collapse to their knees, staring at the bizarre silhouette now resting like some mythical beast that should not exist. Claire pulls off his helmet, forehead damp, eyes scanning the other crew. Charlie walks toward him across the tarmac, both men grinning in disbelief. "Well," Charlie says, "guess we're even closer than squadron mates now." Laughter breaks out, shaky but genuine, cutting through the surreal shock. The narrator's voice swells over the image of the tangled bombers. In the crucible of war, survival is often a matter of skill, of luck, and of stubborn defiance against the odds. The day the 10 horsepower and the All-American came down together is remembered not just as a testament to the ruggedness of the flying fortress, but to the resilience of the men who flew her. Two crews bound by catastrophe, who refused to let go, and in doing so proved that sometimes, in the chaos of battle, you can only survive by holding on to each other.